Exercise is an important part of a healthy lifestyle. I try to go to the gym on campus at least 3 times a week because not only does it keep me active, but it also helps my mental health. I started going to the gym during my first year at Carleton. I was an Irish dancer growing up, so when I moved away for university, I was looking for a new way to stay active. Now, going to the gym as a beginner is daunting enough, but for women, it can be scary for other reasons. Sexual harassment is far too common an experience that women have at gyms, and survey data from 2019, conducted by equipment review site FitRated, found that 71% of women get harassed at the gym on a daily basis. So that got me thinking more about gender and fitness. Fitness has traditionally been so gendered in a binary way. You have change rooms, activewear, sports teams, uniforms, all of that is separated as men and women. It doesn't leave much room for the inclusion of trans, non-binary, and gender diverse people. A big topic right now is the inclusion of trans athletes on gendered sports teams. In the news, there have been multiple articles and researchers who have found that there is a pervasive anti-trans sentiment in sports and fitness. Transphobia has implications on the health and wellness of trans and non-binary folks. Due to barriers, they experience lower levels of physical activity compared to cisgender people, according to a study conducted by Loughborough University in England. So I've decided to speak to Vincent, who's personally had to face these barriers. Alex is the co-founder of Ottawa Pride Hockey, a hockey team for 2S LGBTQ+ players.
I started skating when I was about 3. And then I still really like watching hockey on TV, and so I asked my parents if I could start playing hockey, and here we are.
Did your relationship with the game change at all after you transitioned?
Yeah, after I came out and started my transition, I stopped playing for about 5 years before getting back into it just a few years ago, maybe about 4 years ago.
So what barriers have been most prominent in your personal experience with hockey, but also just sports and fitness in general?
Being trans or non-binary, a lot of sports involve like changing in change rooms, and you know, when you're going through physical transition or even after, like a lot of people are not comfortable with their bodies and getting changed in front of other people, and so that is sort of a huge barrier that exists.
So how can we make these spaces more inclusive? How can we make sports and fitness more accessible and comfortable for trans and non-binary people? Keegan Prempeh works in the Office of Equity and Inclusive Communities at Carleton University as the Trans and Non-Binary Inclusion Coordinator. I spoke to them to try to answer these questions. What can fitness organizations do to sort of bridge that accessibility gap?
Emphasizing co-ed as much as possible, or like giving people the option, and you know, making sure that people who are accessing that services or you know that organization understand that trans people have a right to participate in recreation and like just the way that they do. Yeah, trans people at Carleton have been doing a lot of organizing over the years. There's like the addition of like trans-specific kind of workout hours, offering that kind of space for like trans people and their allies who are interested in fitness and recreation, kind of like a designated place where in theory, you know, the people who are in that space have an awareness of like kind of barriers that trans people face when trying to access recreation. So hopefully, you know, are more respectful.
The presence of safer, inclusive spaces is so important because they contribute to building a sense of community, which encourages participation. Alex spoke to me about how Ottawa Pride Hockey started.
Oh, Brett's on the ice now, okay.
My friend Kat and I realized that there wasn't really a space for us to play and feel included here in Ottawa, so that's what sort of sparked us to start this. I think a lot of folks are uncomfortable in sports spaces in general who are part of the 2S LGBTQ plus community. And so for us, providing a space where people feel comfortable was really important. And especially with hockey, with the change rooms, and the fact that hockey is often a very gendered sport, like there's like the men's league and women's league, but not a whole lot in between. So to allow a space for folks of all genders to be able to play, and then also realizing that some people may never have taken up playing hockey because of the barriers that are there, and just being able to share that experience with other people who have similar lived experiences as us, it just makes it so much more enjoyable.
Alex and Keegan have shown that some progress has been made in breaking down these barriers that keep trans and non-binary people out of sport. The Canadian Centre for Ethics in Sport outlined inclusion guidelines for organizations. These include non-discrimination policies, inclusive codes of conduct for athletes and staff, access to all gender change rooms, as well as letting athletes participate in their sport consistent with their gender identity, regardless of their transition status. But there's still a lot of work to be done. Everyone can make a difference in establishing more inclusive spaces for trans and non-binary people. It starts with respect and treating others the way you want to be treated. It's called the Golden Rule for a reason, and it applies to recreation just as much as anywhere else.